Hi, good day, everyone. I welcome you to the SISBDTT Virtual Wellness Month. Our theme for this year is Hope for a Cure, Strength to Endure, and Survival for Sure. The SISBDTT is a registered nonprofit organization that is mandated to improve the quality of life for persons living with blood disorders, such as hemophilia, thalassemia, sickle cell, and von Willebrand disease. The society also provide support for persons, parents, patients, psychologically. We provide education, information, and we advocate on behalf of these persons. This month, we took a holistic approach to health and wellness. We also included exercise, but we also included health, our mental health, and nutrition. This pandemic has taken a toll of all of us, emotionally, physically, financially. And we have all experienced some form of stress or anxiety. It is with great pleasure that I present today Ms. Chitra Maharaj, a clinical psychologist who is now going to engage us with teaching skills on management and the managing of stress and anxiety. So Ms. Maharaj, the floor is all yours.
Thank you, Ms. Virgil. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to start by sharing my screen. We have a lot of good skills to learn today. Hope you all can see that. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about skills for managing stress and anxiety as part of the Virtual Wellness Month. It is really a huge pleasure to be a part of this event. I think it was a fantastic initiative and I'm proud to be a part of it. So we are going to be talking about skills and strategies that we can all use to manage stress and anxiety. I know that we all experience stress and we may sometimes lack the skills to manage the stress that we're experiencing. It is my aim in this webinar to teach you skills that you can apply to reduce the stress that you experience daily. So let me jump right in. What you will learn today is what stress and anxiety is, the causes of stress and anxiety. You're also going to learn what stress and anxiety looks and feels like, and of course, many skills to manage or cope with stress and anxiety. I want you to think about these strategies as coping tools that you can use when you feel stressed and anxious. Think about the strategies as tools that you will use to fill a toolbox that you can use when you need them. Now, if you have any questions as we go through the material, I want you just to take notes of them, and I'm probably going to open up the floor for questions at the end. I also want to make the webinar interactive, so I'm going to ask you for feedback at different points throughout the webinar. You can utilize the chat function to give me your feedback, and also if you want, you can raise your hand and we can turn on the video. So before we go any further, I want us to take our temperature. Of course, this is a very different kind of thermometer. It's not the kind that we're used to that takes the body temperature, but this one takes a temperature of your feelings and emotions. So this thermometer, it goes from 0 to 100. Of course, the lower numbers indicate low stress levels, and the higher numbers indicate higher levels of stress and anxiety. If you have no stress or anxiety, your temperature should be below 20. If you have mild levels of stress and anxiety, your score will be between 20 and 40. Moderate levels of anxiety will be between 40 and 60. High levels of anxiety should be between 60 and 80. And of course, above 80 would be extreme levels of stress and anxiety. So let's take a moment right now to rate your own feelings. Take note of the temperature or stress level you're experiencing currently. Would anyone like to share with us what their temperature is right now? Go ahead and utilize the chat option, or again, you can raise your hands. Anyone?
right, so one person raised their hand and Tamara.
Someone is saying 80.
So I'll allow it to talk.
Yes, please. Hi, Tamara.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
I would
How are you?
say good. I would say that it's 90 for me, and just want to
90.
let you all know that the chat is actually disabled on my end.
Okay.
The chat, I
Fine.
could say my answer in the chat.
Okay, well, we'll see about that. Anybody else would like to share what their stress levels are right now? Go ahead and raise your hands until the chat becomes available.
Okay, a couple of people answered. We have one
Okay.
saying 65 to 75 and one person saying 80. Right,
Okay,
they're using
okay.
the Q&A.
Okay, all right, perfect. So it seems as if a lot of us are experiencing stress and anxiety, some high levels of stress and anxiety. And that being said, I think now is a good time as any for us to do one of the coping skills we talked about. So we are going to be doing a breathing exercise now. This is called mindful breathing. Now, when we are breathing mindfully, the key is to pay attention to our breathing. That means fully focusing on our ingoing and our outgoing breath, focusing on our bodies. And also, you might notice that there are thoughts that enter our minds, even when we try to focus on our breathing. It is also a part of being mindful, just being present in the moment. So you notice those thoughts as they come to mind, and then gently bring your attention back to your breathing. So we can follow along with this recording. I'll just ask that you find a comfortable sitting position and follow the instructions that you will hear. So let us begin. Let me make sure I'm sharing my sound.
Mindful breathing. Close your eyes and rest your hands on your knees. Bring your attention to the touch of your body on your seat. Feel the weight of your body on your chair or cushion. Make sure that your back is straight and that you're comfortable. Take a few deep breaths. While you're breathing deeply, relax your shoulders, your stomach muscles, the muscles in your face, your hands, and your legs. Let go of all the tightness in your body. Now bring your attention back to your breath. Notice what it feels like as it enters through your nose, goes down through your throat, filling your lungs, and back out through your nose. Notice your stomach and chest rise and fall each time you breathe in and each time you breathe out. And just allow your breathing to be natural and relaxed. Now bring your attention to the feeling of your breath in your nose. Feel your breath as it comes in and goes out. Just focus on this sensation, paying attention to each time you breathe in and each time you breathe out. As you inhale, maybe your breath feels cool. And as you exhale, maybe it feels a little warmer. When your mind wanders, or if you become distracted, just notice what's going on in your head, and then gently bring your attention back to your breath, going in and out. Focus on the feeling of your breath and allow thoughts and feelings to come and go in the background. Now gently bring your attention back to the touch of your body on your seat and open your eyes.
How do you all feel? So I think it's a good idea to take our temperatures again. And this time, let's notice if there are any changes from our previous temperature. Most of us will probably feel a bit more relaxed. All right, so do you want to go ahead and utilize the chat function again and write your new temperature scores for me? Or you can raise your hand. Okay. Okay, so I think I'm seeing lower scores so far. Now, for those of you who don't notice a significant change in your levels of stress, I promise you with more practice over time, this exercise will reduce your anxiety levels. So the key is to practice, okay? All right, now let's talk about what stress really is. So when people say they're feeling stressed, usually what they mean is they are feeling under pressure mentally and emotionally. They might be feeling like things are out of their control. They will also be finding it very difficult to cope with life's challenges. And of course, stress can increase our vulnerability to illnesses, both mental and physical. We all know that stress is linked to the 6 leading causes of death, including accidents, cancer, heart disease, liver disease, lung disease, and suicide. Now let's talk about anxiety. Anxiety is an emotion, first and foremost. And of course, we all experience this emotion. We might experience it as worry, feelings of fear, overwhelm, tension, and nervousness. Those might be other ways you would use to describe that emotion of anxiety. It can also be a normal response to danger. It allows us to escape when we are in danger. If, for example, you come face to face with a dangerous animal, your fear or anxiety will allow you to get to safety. It is that experience of anxiety that will allow you to get to safety. We can also feel anxiety about situations that we find extremely stressful, such as conflict at home, problems at work. Usually, it is triggered by a specific stressor. It seems to be resolved when the stress is no longer there. It can also be motivational in that it can direct us to get to safety if we need to, or to be motivated enough to pass an exam, to perform well. In some cases, anxiety can be a result of prolonged exposure to stress. Not in every case, but in some cases. Now, it's also important for us to differentiate between normal anxiety, which is that emotion that we all experience, and an anxiety disorder. So I'm just going to touch quickly on an anxiety disorder. Whereas with anxiety, that emotion of anxiety, we can usually tell what the trigger is. With an anxiety disorder, we don't always know where the trigger comes from. It feels like it comes out of nowhere. We usually experience an intense emotional response that is severe anxiety. It usually lasts a long time. Sometimes it lasts up to years. It can last weeks, months, or even years. We are not able to function as we normally do when we're experiencing an anxiety disorder. It actually interferes with our day-to-day functioning. It often feels impossible to manage on our own, and it also causes physical symptoms such as panic attacks. I'm going to touch again briefly on what the experience of a panic attack is, because usually when I do this presentation, a lot of people ask the question about what a panic attack really is. A panic attack is a sudden surge of anxiety. So it's a sudden surge of anxiety, and usually you experience physical symptoms with the anxiety that you feel. Symptoms such as difficulty breathing, you might have heart palpitations, nausea, chills or hot flashes, excessive sweating, trembling or shaking, numbness, tingling, or even dizziness. So what causes stress and anxiety? We're all familiar with some of these causes of stress and anxiety. And the one that I want to focus on the most is COVID-19, because it seems to encompass all of the above. All right. So with COVID-19, it's obvious that the pandemic has had a major effect on our lives. For many of us, the uncertainty of it all causes stress and anxiety because we don't know when this will be over and when we will have some semblance of normalcy return to our lives. There is also the fear, that very realistic fear of getting the virus, fear about our loved ones getting ill, also worrying about if we will be vaccinated in the short term. Only a small percentage of people have actually been vaccinated so far in Trinidad. We might also be worried about the restrictions that are put in place because a lot of times we feel isolated. We no longer have that physical support that we've grown used to. We can no longer see our friends the way that we're used to seeing them. We might be able to do it virtually, but it still is not the same. It can't replace normal face-to-face interaction. We are also unable to see a lot of our family members, especially the older, more vulnerable family members. A lot of people have made that decision to stay away. Some of us have seen our work demands increase exponentially, especially frontline workers. They in particular, they've been working non-stop for more than a year without a break in sight. And others have the opposite problem where many of them have lost jobs. Whichever group we fall into, we have additional stress placed on us.
We have a hand raised. You want to take the question?
Well, I was going to take questions at the end.
Sure.
Can you just take note of your question and we'll get to it at the end, okay? I'll just leave the floor open. So here are some signs that might indicate you are experiencing stress and anxiety. So we're looking at physical, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral signs, okay? This is what stress and anxiety might look like for you. So some of the physical symptoms: irregular bowel movement, twitching or shaking, getting sick more often than we normally do, decreased libido, chest pain, headaches, nausea, muscle aches, difficulty sleeping, stomach problems, fatigue, flushed skin, clenching your teeth, weight gain, or even weight loss. Here are some of the emotional symptoms: impatience, feeling sad or depressed, restlessness, loss of interest in the activities you used to enjoy, irritability, feeling isolated, difficulty coping with life's issues, and having a pessimistic attitude or more pessimistic attitude. Some of the cognitive signs: difficulty concentrating, memory problems, worrying a lot, anxious thoughts, impaired judgment, impaired speech, and unwanted thoughts. Some of the behavioral symptoms: eating too much or too little, sleeping either too much or too little, drug use, nail biting, pacing, difficulty completing daily tasks, changes in work performance, isolating yourself from others, and trouble getting along with other people, or conflict in relationships. Notice in yourself if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, because it might be an indication that you're experiencing some level of stress and anxiety. So after all that heavy stuff, I think now is a good time for us to do another practice, another strategy to help us manage stress and anxiety. So this practice here, this is called box breathing or square breathing, and it can be a powerful stress reliever. How it works is that it helps to calm and regulate your autonomous nervous system. It allows CO2 to build up in the blood, and this enhances the cardioinhibitory response of the vagus nerve, which produces a calm and relaxed feeling. Box breathing is very simple to practice. You breathe in through your nose for a count of 4, then you hold your breath for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 4, and again hold your breath for a count of 4. And you repeat that 4 times. Okay, so follow along with this video to practice this technique. 1, 2, 4. So hopefully that was simple enough, and now you've learned 2 different breathing exercises that you can use to manage stress and anxiety. All right, so now the moment you've been waiting for, coping skills, okay? I just want to mention that all the strategies that I will discuss here are evidence-based. That means that they've been researched scientifically and proven to be effective in reducing stress and anxiety. The strategies I will discuss are drawn from various therapeutic techniques, and these are all strategies that I use in therapy with my own clients. We will talk about things you can do every day to decrease the likelihood of feeling stressed and anxious, and also we will talk about things you can use in the moment when you feel stressed and anxious. So the first set of skills we're going to talk about is called PLEASE skills, and PLEASE is an acronym for all the skills that we will discuss. The first thing you want to do, PL stands for treating physical illness, and that's the first skill of the PLEASE skills. First thing you want to do is treat illnesses that you have, because being sick lowers the mind's defenses to stress and negative emotions like depression and anxiety. Being healthy increases your ability to regulate your emotions and your feelings. To prevent getting sick, you want to take your medications. This might include taking your vitamins and any medications that you're used to taking or that you need to be healthy. When you are sick, it is important to see a doctor, take any prescribed medications, and get enough rest. The second skill, E of the PLEASE, balance eating. That is, eating on time, not eating either too much or too little, eating several times throughout the day, and also eating healthy foods is very important. You might want to avoid foods that make you feel either unwell or overly emotional. Notice the effect that certain foods have on you, and those would be the ones to avoid. The third skill we will talk about is to avoid mood-altering drugs. Alcohol and drugs can reduce your defenses against stress and intense negative emotions. In many cases, drugs can make you experience negative emotions. So you want to stay off illicit drugs, and if you do use alcohol in moderation. The fourth skill is to balance sleep. That S in PLEASE for sleep. That is neither sleeping too much nor too little. The recommendation is actually between 7 and 9 hours of sleep. I don't know about you, but I don't think a lot of us are getting that recommended number of hours. Okay, so figure out what gets in the way of you having a good night's sleep and try to reduce those things. Practice good sleep hygiene. That is, stop using devices before bedtime. You probably want to turn off your devices about an hour before bed. Don't watch TV in bed. Try to avoid screens as much as possible before bedtime. Avoid caffeine before sleeping. And try to go to bed and wake up around the same time every day. Research actually tells us that when you get adequate sleep regularly, your overall mood is much better. And finally, E, exercise. At least some exercise or movement daily is recommended for about 20 minutes. When you finish exercising, your parasympathetic nervous system is activated, and that increases feelings of relaxation. Think about exercises that are enjoyable and also feasible for you. Running, walking, stretching, playing a sport, and bearing in mind the restrictions that are in place. So you probably are not going to master all of these skills immediately. Let's start by thinking about the ones that need to be improved immediately and start there. And eventually, with continued practice, you will master all these skills. Another way of managing stress and anxiety is to build up experiences that will trigger positive emotions. And this is called positive experiences. The goal here is to create more of a balance between negative and positive experiences. If we are having more negative experiences than positive ones, we are likely to experience more negative emotions than positive ones. So we want to make sure that we have enough positive experiences in our daily lives to feel more positive emotions. Think about it like trying to strike a balance between the stress that we are experiencing and that we're exposed to daily and relaxing activities that we enjoy. So here are some activities that you can do every day to build up those positive emotions and experiences. Taking a warm shower or a cold shower, watching YouTube videos, watching movies, listening to music, posting on social media, playing video games, organizing a space or cleaning a space, baking or cooking, reading a magazine, playing with pets, connecting with your friends, even if it's virtually, writing a story, writing a poem, doing self-care activities, gardening, spending time with your family, even virtually, journaling, eating comfort foods, painting a picture, taking pictures, reading a book, daydreaming, meditating, practicing yoga, trying a new hobby, doing a puzzle, texting your friends, that also helps to connect, playing a board game or a video game, and exercise. Of course, this is by no means an exhaustive list, so feel free to think about other ways that you can add relaxation to your daily lives, or maybe some of the activities that you've done in the past that made you feel more relaxed. Does anybody want to share any activity that they've done from this list or otherwise that helped make you feel more relaxed? I think the chat is open now, or you can still use the Q&A. Okay, so then let's move on. Okay, so the next set of skills we're going to talk about, again, an acronym, improve the moment. So all of the letters in the word improve mean a different skill. They stand for a different skill. So the I, imagery, the M, meaning, P, prayer, R, relaxation, O1, V, vacation, and E, encouragement. Okay, to use the improve skill is when you're in a crisis even though you might not be able to change the situation itself, what you can do is try to improve the moment. The situation might be out of your control, but the moment that you're in is in your control. And you can try by using one of these skills to improve that experience that you're having in the moment. So these are different ways that you can try to alleviate a difficult situation. The first one, imagery. You can use imagery to improve the moment by imagining a beautiful scene or a safe place. You can also use imagery to imagine yourself dealing with a difficult situation you are in, or even imagining yourself overcoming your challenges. Just by using imagery, that can be very powerful in improving the moment. One of my colleagues always says, if you try one of the improved skills and it doesn't work, go to the next one. So the next one, let's say you try imagery and it works to some degree, but you're not feeling like the moment is any better, then you go to the other one. Meaning, M for meaning. Another way you can improve the moment is with meaning. So sometimes trying to find the higher meaning in a difficult situation, or focusing on the purpose in your daily activities, can help you improve the moment. So for example, instead of thinking of household chores as just that, chores another source of stress, sometimes focusing on the bigger picture might improve the moment. Focusing on the fact that you are taking care of your family and your loved ones by cooking a meal can put meaning back into the activity, and it can help you to feel better in the moment. You can also improve the moment with prayer. Prayer means different things to different people. It can be turning to a higher power to find strength to get through a difficult time. It might be meditation for some people, trying to find your center. Whatever prayer means to you, spending a few moments in prayer can improve the moment for you. Relaxation activities can also improve the moment. Deep breathing, as we've been doing, or any activity, some of the positive experiences we just talked about, can help to bring about a feeling of relaxation. And of course, that in itself will improve the moment that you're in. So the O in improve stands for one, and that means focusing on one thing at a time. When we focus on the task that we are doing and we fully engage, we turn off our minds from ruminating events of the past or worrying about events in the future, because we are connected to the present moment. So whatever activity you are doing, bringing your full attention and focus to it will improve the moment for you. So the V in improve stands for vacation. We all need a break now and then, and especially now with COVID. This skill is just about taking a break. It should be a few hours long, and it can involve something as simple as changing the scenery, going to the beach, which we are not allowed to do with our restrictions. It can be going back to bed for a few hours, or even taking a virtual vacation. On Facebook all the time, I come across virtual tours of places like Tuscany. That may get you out of your mind for a while and improve the difficult situation that you're in momentarily. So it can be a virtual vacation as well. And finally, encouragement. Encouragement is about motivating yourself. This one can be difficult to practice for some people. It is important to talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love. You can use positive affirmations and compassion when you talk to yourself while you're going through the situation. So these skills are all systematic ways that we can cope with difficult situations that we might not be able to change in the short term. With practice, they become natural and will feel more and more like you're capable of handling whatever life throws at you the more you practice these skills. And of course, remember, it's not going to change the situation you're in, but it is going to improve the moment that you're in. So now the next set of skills we will talk about soothing your senses. When we are feeling emotional distress, our senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, we know our senses, all of those senses can be effective in helping us to feel relaxed and calm. Self-soothing has to do with comforting, nurturing, and being kind to yourself. So they are physical techniques that use the different body senses. And it involves doing activities that will soothe, bring that sense of soothing to our senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but these are some examples. To soothe our sight, looking at nature, using soothing lighting, watching a feel-good movie, making a collage with images you like, looking at old photos of good memories. Those are all ways that you can soothe your sense of sight. And you might think of your own ways as well, ways that you've tried to soothe your sense of sight in the past. To soothe our sense of smell, smelling flowers, the smell of baked goods, scented candles, applying perfume or lotions, all of those can help soothe the sense of smell. To soothe our sense of hearing, relaxing music, hearing a comforting voice, listening to white noise or nature sounds, or just sitting still for a moment and bringing your attention to the sounds in your environment. That's actually a mindfulness technique that we will learn about in the next webinar. But all of those are examples of soothing the sense of hearing. To soothe our sense of touch, getting a massage, hugging someone, petting an animal, taking a bath or a shower, standing barefoot in the grass. It's also a proven technique that works. All of those will soothe your sense of touch. To soothe our sense of taste, eating a meal you like, drinking some tea, trying different flavors, nostalgic flavors, or even having a mint or chewing gum, that can all help. So these are some examples of ways you can self-soothe, but you are of course not limited to this list. Just think about any activity that engages the senses in a soothing way. And think about what works for you. And of course, try them, whatever techniques work for you. All right, so the last one I want to touch on, again, is deep breathing exercises. And we've already done two of these. We've done the mindful breathing exercise at the beginning. We've practiced the box breathing exercise, and we're going to talk about diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing. The diaphragm is the primary muscle in respiration. It actually sits at the base of our lungs. And the way to practice diaphragmatic breathing is to actively pull the diaphragm down with each inward breath, filling the lungs with oxygen, and moving the diaphragm upwards with each exhale. Essentially, it is breathing from deep within the lungs. Diaphragmatic breathing lowers the stress hormone, cortisol, in the body. And of course, if the stress hormone is lowered, you are going to feel more relaxed. So let's practice. I'm just going to play this video. Follow along with the instructions. Okay, so that was the final skill for today. I hope that you're all feeling way more relaxed, but I think we should check our temperatures one more time. Is anyone feeling more relaxed? Let's go ahead and share. Let's share our score.
While we're waiting for responses, because they took a while the last time, in response to your last question on how people deal with stress, we actually got a few responses. So,
Oh yeah?
yeah, so Lena said hiking, long walks. Abigail said listening to music. YouTube is a low. Renee said watching movies with friends virtually. Right. Ulla said exercise, cooking, and watch movies with family.
Good. Well, very good.
So we have some scores coming in. So Lena said 30 and Nadia said 20 at the moment.
Can you guys tell me if you're feeling any better? I'm not able to track, what the previous score was. So can you say if it's better or worse? That might be a bit more useful. Just
yes, first one said much better.
Yes.
Abigail is asking, could you explain how to take your temperature? I missed that part.
Okay, Abigail. Okay, so it's basically a thermometer that checks your feelings. If you have low levels of stress and anxiety, your score should be between 0 and 20. Mild levels will be between 20 and 40, between 40 and 60 moderate, 60 and 80 high, and over 80 would be extreme levels of stress and anxiety. Oh, somebody felt sleepy. That's good to know.
All right, so Karen had a hand up. You want to take a question?
Yes.
Okay. Karen? You could unmute Karen. I don't know if maybe she's not still there. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Look up.
In the meantime, somebody asked, could you explain? All right, this no, that wasn't it. Okay, what is the difference between anxiety and stress? Is there a chance we can pass our anxiety to our children?
Can I think I'm gonna answer that one privately, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Who asked that one?
All right. Well, I'll ask Vuna, who asked that question, to put it in the Q&A so that you could respond to that.
Okay. All right, great.
All right. So if you,
do we have any more scores coming in? Do we have any more scores coming in?
Yes, I've been at 20 after first breathing exercise since I started feeling sleepy.
Good. That's good to know. Okay, so it seems as if most of you have benefited from the breathing exercises that we've done and maybe some of the other skills as well. I just want to jump ahead and I'm going to open up the floor for questions in a minute, but I just want to go through a summary of the skills learned. These are all the skills that you learned today. The research tells us that people who have difficulty managing life's challenges, they're people who lack the skills to appropriately cope when things get tough. But those who have strong coping skills, they seem to get through difficulty with ease. And I hope that you've learned a few skills that can help you manage difficult times and that can help you relax a bit more every day. All right, so thank you all for joining me. And join me again on the 22nd to learn even more coping skills. Any questions or comments? Now, I just want to say, bear in mind that this is not a confidential space. So bear that in mind when sharing personal information.
Okay, so if anyone has questions, or if you want to ask Ms. Barrage something directly, you can raise your hand, and we'll allow you to pose your question.
So I'll go to Verna's question. We can't necessarily pass anxiety on to children, but there is a genetic component of anxiety. So people who experience anxiety, they tend to have a family member that has experienced anxiety or has been diagnosed as having anxiety disorders. All right. Thank you, Abigail. And for those of you that have tried some of the strategies and the breathing exercises, and maybe you didn't feel too much of a difference, the more you practice, the easier it gets. And I also think that with practice, if you practice a lot, when you're in the midst of a stressful situation or some kind of like crisis or difficulty, then it gets easier to turn to those coping skills because you're used to practicing them, as opposed to now trying to figure out, what do I do? Do I breathe through my nose or out through my mouth in the midst of a crisis? Anybody else?
I must say it's quite interesting how these simple breathing techniques are able to change your mood.
You found them to be effective?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So there are two different mechanisms involved in breathing. When we breathe in, our sympathetic nervous system kicks in and your body is preparing for action. When you breathe out, that's when your body relaxes. The parasympathetic nervous system helps you to relax. So when you make breathing intentional and you breathe deeply, the body can benefit from relaxation. Anybody wants to make any more comments?
No questions, comments?
Don't be anxious.
What would you say are the best ways to help children to deal with their stress?
Oh, I think actually breathing techniques have been quite effective in children in managing their own stress and even like sometimes dysfunctional behavior. There is also a lot of research now on children using mindfulness, being aware of their thoughts and being aware of their breath. And that can help a lot with them in managing their own emotions.
It seems like you calm people down too much.
apparently. I hope you all didn't fall asleep.
All right, let's see something in the Q&A.
Yeah, I saw a question about health anxiety, and I mean, these strategies will work with any kind of anxiety, obviously, but I think specific to health anxiety, you're talking about the cognitions that come up, those negative thoughts that come up when you're thinking about your own health. So there are cognitive strategies. I'm going to talk about those in the next webinar, I think on the 22nd. So maybe you can join us then. It's really about catching the negative thoughts as they come to mind and changing them if they're not accurate. That can be very useful in managing health anxiety.